What sustains a leader? When the work becomes heavy, when the expectations rise, and when others begin to step away. That's the question behind today's conversation. And I'm honored to bring it to you in partnership with the EDU Ledger, a platform dedicated to elevating the voices, ideas, and leadership shaping the future of higher education. Because today you're not just hearing from a leader, you're hearing from a builder of people, a steward of purpose, and a national voice in student affairs. Dr. Darryl Holloman, Chair of NASPA and Vice President of Student Affairs at Spelman College. But more importantly, a leader grounded in something deeper than a title. From his beginnings as a student leader at Georgia State University to now helping shape the direction of our profession, his journey is a powerful reminder that passion may ignite the work, but purpose is what sustains it. And in a moment where student affairs and higher education at large is being tested in real time, this conversation is certainly not optional. It's necessary. This is about purpose over pressure, leadership over position, and it's about the kind of work that stands the test of time. So let's get into it.
Greetings, everyone. It's Dr. Mordecai. Once again, thank you so much for joining us for today. And on today, we have an amazing guest, someone I'm extremely proud of. Not only is he now the new chair of NASPA, the NASPA Student Affairs Organization, but he's also the vice president of Student Affairs for Spelman College. He's doing amazing things. Dr. Darryl Holloman, thank you so much for your time, brother.
Thank you, Dr. Brownlee. I'm looking forward to speaking with you.
Yes, indeed. So there's a lot that we want to learn in a fairly short amount of time. Let's start here. Where did your journey in higher education and student affairs first get started?
It actually started at Georgia State University, and I, like many of us in student affairs, started as a student. I was a really actively and engaged student. I was homecoming king in 1994 and pledged the fraternity, one of the first black folks to lead new student orientation. And from there, I really understood, like, this could be a profession and a job. And I can remember crossing the quad in my senior year, trying to, think through what I would do. And I said, well, let me just get a job on campus. And my first role actually didn't start in student affairs. It started in enrollment management. I was an academic advisor for about 10 years, and then moved over to student affairs in its truest form when I worked at Rutgers Newark under the leadership of a good brother there, Gerald Massenberg. But that early entrance into academic advising really gave me this holistic idea of how we have to support our students, both inside and outside and adjacent to the classroom.
There is so much going on in today's society. I'm just curious, what has continued to keep you anchored in this work? Because there was something interesting that I believe happened during the pandemic. We saw many student affairs professionals tap out. Many educators as well, but specifically focusing on student affairs professionals. Many tapped out, felt burnt out, not appreciated. What has kept you centered in doing this work?
So I really believe in the sense of purposeful work, right? And I know in our field we talk a lot about passion. And I think passion is good. I think passion drives a lot of emotions. But I think purpose steadies passion, right? Passion can burn you out. Purpose gives you that steady drumbeat of understanding how you are making an impact on the work. And so I think being centered in purposeful work is really important. I talk about this all the time. My dad was a fireman in Atlanta for 29 years, and he missed one day of work out of that whole 29 years of work. And so I had an uncle that worked at Graylock, which is a mechanics firm in Atlanta. He worked there for over 30 years. My mom was a domestic housekeeper at a hotel for like 20 years. And so that sense of purposeful work left me with what I call my professional motto, and that means good work stands. And so in my emphasis, if we keep our focus and eye on the work and how that work is interconnected to our institutional missions, That's really what grounds me, man, every day. And so on my hardest days, I look at this as a vocation, and the sense of purposeful work and good work stands, and couching it in a vocation, which is a calling, really is what grounds and anchors me every day.
I love it. I love it. You know, by the time that this airs, this is all a part of our partnership with the EDU Ledger. And there will be a release of a student affairs edition of the EDU Ledger magazine this same month of this airing. I'm curious to know, just last month, you all had the NASPA annual conference, a lot of excitement. I watched all the activity on LinkedIn, wish I was there, saw that as well on Instagram. If I were to ask you, what is the current state of student affairs? What would you say?
That's a great question, Dr. Brownlee, because I think our work is facing a sense of crises that I don't think is on the radars of most boards, college boards, most presidents, most provosts, those that we directly often report to. I think for so many years, student affairs have been the doers, right? And people are I call us like the nurses of the profession, right? We're so busy doing the work that I don't know if presidents and provosts and college boards, and I hope they listen to this podcast, recognize the state of crisis that we're in. And what the crisis stands is you have senior and seasoned level professionals such as myself who have just literally been burnt out. And they're burnt out from the pandemic. They're burnt out from this extensive political influence. They're burnt out just from the student dynamics that have changed a lot. And then you have mid-levels who have witnessed that burnout firsthand, and these are our AVPs, our dean of students, and they're like, "Hey, I'm good. Like, I don't want to do what you're doing. I'm just going to stay at this level. I'm fine. I make enough money for me to go to Cabo every year. I am good." And then there's a certain amount, I believe, of disillusionment from new professionals. So those professionals in that first 1 to 3 years, I think they're just looking at this work and they're chasing passion. And so it's causing them to move around a lot. And then ultimately they just decide, I don't have to put up with this. I'm just going to leave. And so I think it would behoove us as institutions to really begin to understand the dynamics of student affairs professionals. What ways are we pouring into student affairs professionals, and just really understanding that crises level. It's also incumbent upon us, final point, that we've got to be more transparent with that. Particularly my generation, the Gen Xers, who just, kind of chugged along and kept going. We need to really be positioning ourselves so that we understand this work, if it's to be sustainable, has to be about the people, right?
Yes.
And how we're taking care of ourselves, taking care of others, and making sure our presidents and our provosts and our boards recognize the centrality of what we do to the institutional mission.
You know, you began to hit on something I think is pretty powerful, depending on who's watching, who's listening to this. As we think about that next generation of student affairs professional, what are the conversations that are happening at the industry level? Because, for those that don't know, I came through student affairs. I still, in my heart, consider myself to be an SA pro, but I'm just curious to know, what do we need to do to make sure that there's a new generation of student affairs professionals?
I love that question, and so a part of that is the vision that I have as my year as board chair, and so as I named it the NASPA North Star Project, and it has 3 arms to it. The first arm is about understanding the perceptions of the public and why there has been a precipitous drop in how the public views higher education as a public good. The second one is speaking directly to what I'm talking about. I want to do some work around our new professionals and their wellness and care. I'll come back to that. And the last thing is to really focus on the sustainability of our profession. And so really looking at our financial modeling, looking at our governance structures, our programming platform to make sure we're delivering what the membership wants. Now, I'll circle back to this sense of wellness for new professionals. We've got to figure out how I think we invest in the soft skills of our new professionals. Effective communication, self-efficacy, conflict resolution, problem solving. These are things that I think our new professionals need some continued support in. The work is so much more nuanced than when we first did it, right? When we first started, we had to worry about how you're going to supervise people, how you're going to manage a budget, how you're going to balance your student programming. But they live in a world where the student dynamics are different. There are many, many more neurodivergent students that are part of our campus community. Rightfully so, we embrace that, but that requires a different type of understanding of student engagement, student wellness. We have to think about how they grapple with the enrollment cliff, right? We keep talking about the enrollment cliff. Many of my young colleagues who are new professionals are at institutions where the enrollment cliff is dead on hitting them, right? So the enrollment cliff has hit the Northeast already. It'll hit the Southeast by like 2035. But that means that there are going to be less students who are involved. And so it's requiring young professionals to think about their budgets, how they do their budgets. And then the other piece is just the social dynamics now are just so much more nuanced and critically involved. And so I think we are not doing enough to support our new professionals on how do you advocate for your students? How do you serve as a guide as they advocate and they challenge the institutional infrastructures? Right now, what we're doing is just tell them, do what I did. And that's the incorrect response. We've got to meet our new professionals where they are and build upon the skill set that they bring, because this generation of new professionals are so inventive, so creative. I mean, it is just, the ideas just flow, right? Like when I pitch ideas to my student programmers now, I mean, what they come out with as a final product is amazing. And so we just got to figure out that right middle ground. And I think if we really are concerned about the pipeline, we got to start with the new professionals to make sure that we're properly guiding them through that next level.
This episode of Discovering Your Mission is brought to you by The EDU Ledger, a leading publication committed to advancing the conversations shaping today's higher education landscape. From innovative practices to policy insights and leadership perspectives, The EDU Ledger brings clarity to the issues surrounding educational opportunity that matter most. To stay informed and engaged, visit theeduledger.com. Now, let's get to today's conversation.
I love it. I love it. You know, my friend, we have some presidents and chancellors that listen and watch this podcast. I'm curious to know if we can speak to them for a moment. I remember at one point in time, Dr. Holloman, and you have to tell me if this is still occurring. I feel like I know the answer, but I want to hear from you. And that is, when it comes to making budgets, as institutions are looking towards sustainability and how to reduce expenses, far too often it is the student affairs areas that are the first to take some of these impacts. Is this still happening, and how should we be combating that?
It is still happening. And it's interesting, though. I think that many student affairs units have been already cut to the bare bones, right? And so there's not much more you can give up, right? We have decreased our budget so much that we have people doing 3 and 4 different jobs, right, in 2 different areas. So if I spoke to presidents and provosts, the one thing that I would share is that in student affairs, we are central to any institutional mission. Any institutional mission, we understand learning. We are deeply grounded in learning. And learning occurs as much outside of the classroom as it does inside of the classroom. They are actually conjoined, right? And you have to understand that. And I think sometimes the focus becomes, we're not as vital to institutions as we really are. The other thing I think that's critically important is and I'm gonna put this effort on student affairs professionals. When we go to our presidents and our provosts, we have to demonstrate we are strategic thought partners, that we're just not problem solvers. And I think many of us are so much in the realm of problem solving, which is really in that moment, right? A pipe burst in the residence hall. We got it, right? What we need to strategically be thinking about, how do we contribute to a deferred maintenance plan, and how do we have that conversation so that we don't even get to the point where the pipe bursts, right? And how can we strategically do that, right? And so at Spelman, we have a residence hall actually that we're going to take offline for the summer program season, because it just needs some deep attention and love and care. And if we do that this year, then our incoming students have an even more engaged experience, because we focused on this particular residence hall that we typically use during the summer, and we're moving the students around this year. But I think that idea of being a strategic thought partner is where we have to elevate, as my kids say, Daddy, you got to elevate your game. And so that's where we got to elevate our game, being strategic thought partners. And then our presidents and our provosts will see us beyond just solving problems. We're actually partnering with the institution and with the boards and with them in the strategic initiatives necessary for the sustainability of our schools.
I love it. I love it. I love it. Let me ask you this. Let's switch gears here. As you reflect on your journey thus far, what do you wish you would have known that perhaps to those that are watching this, they're like, wow, the chairman of NASPA is right here in front of me. And if I had an opportunity to stop him at a conference and just ask this question, we want to know what the answer would be. What would that answer be that you wish somebody would have told you?
Well, and first I have to say to the membership of NASPA, I'm deeply honored to be elected in this position. I'm actually the first person from an HBCU to ever serve as chair in the organization's 107-year history. So I'm very proud of that. I also understand the awesome responsibility. What I would tell that person as they stopped me in the hallway and asked that question is, you have to run your own race. I got that advice years ago when I was starting to become a vice president, looking to be a vice president. And my good mentor, my good sister, your fellow sister president, Lori White at DePaul University, I was frustrated. I mean, my friends were getting positions and they were posting on LinkedIn and Instagram, and I called her frustrated and throwing a little hissy fit, AVP hissy fit, right? I was like, nobody likes me. I can't get. And she said, Darryl, she told me her journey. And when she started and when she entered into her first vice presidency, and she gave me that advice, you got to run your own race. You can't be measured against other folks. You can't let LinkedIn guide your career path, right? Celebrate those that get their positions before you, but know that running your own race will allow you to minimize that anxiety and really let that spiritual sense and the vocation of the work come through you, right? And not just looking at it as if it's a race. And if you look at it as a race and you're competing with someone, it will make you, and I want to very clearly for people to hear this, it will make you either pick the institution that you shouldn't have picked, the position or title that wasn't the right one for you. You have to sit, pace yourself, focus on your own leaderboard, and run your own race so that you can hear that spiritual voice that tells you this is the right fit. This is the place I'm supposed to be. Similar to my coming to Spelman, this was the place that I was supposed to be. Nobody would have imagined. I'm the first man to ever serve in this role at Spelman College. Our institution is 145 years old, and I didn't believe I would have gotten this opportunity. But this is where I was meant to be for this season in my life. So run your own race, folks. Run your own race.
Very good. Let me see if I can sneak another question in here before we get to the final question, because I know that you have a full day. Let me ask this. As we think about the changing environment of higher education, you began to speak about this earlier. As we talk about your own personal leadership philosophy, how has your personal leadership philosophy help you personally navigate this current higher education space?
Yeah, we generated a term out of the pandemic that we're still clinging to for many of us. This sense of new normal, right? We can It was our middle brain's way of trying to make us make sense of a global pandemic, right? That hadn't hit the world in 100 years, and so we came up with this term, new normal. And so you kept hearing people talking about, this is our new normal. This is our new normal. I would encourage you, and this comes deeply from my professional motto, good work stands. I would say we've got to turn our new normal into new possibilities. That there is nothing we are encountering that we've not encountered before. And I was talking to a group of students earlier today that had come to visit us at the AU Center. And so shout out to the University of Tennessee, Knoxville. Thank y'all for visiting the AUC. I told them, we as Black folks at HBCUs, this is like our second Reconstruction period. And out of that Reconstruction era, the first one, came a lot of new possibilities. And so we've got to think about that. How do we take what we have now and figure out new ways to enhance the lives of our students? New ways to make sure that they have an opportunity, that we're still providing access, we're still providing opportunities for folks to come onto our campus and feel a sense of belonging and community and well-being. So I think shifting from a new normal to new possibilities, partner with my in-depth belief that good work stands, that is what helps survive me and keeps those ideas generated. And brother, I tell you, we don't have time for it now, but at Spelman, we're doing some wonderful work on developing our student success pathways. I was showing some data earlier to a group of folks, and I am extremely excited and can't wait for our next board meeting so I can share the good work we're doing at Spelman College.
Well, I love it. I love it. We're so proud of you and just thank you for your leadership. As you know, the name of the show is called Discovering Your Mission. So we love to end the show with this one question that we ask all of our guests. And will you share with us at this point, at this time, what is your personal mission statement and why?
I deeply believe that higher education transforms and elevates lives. It's as simple as that. I know it transformed my life. It has elevated my life. And that's my personal why. And I encourage folks to really think deeply about what is your personal why, because honestly, that will be your driving force through difficult and challenging times. And so, if I get some news about something that's coming and hitting higher education, I ground myself in that it still transforms and elevates lives. And we've just got to figure out and continue to figure out how higher education becomes still a mainstream and mainframe to the general populace, that it still is the portal to social mobility and social growth, right? You get a college education, and it doesn't say that you can't do it with other professions. I'm not saying that by any stretch of the imagination, but a college education still, the earning potential is greater. The opportunity to get to know other people that are not like you still exists in colleges. And as a parent, now I'm starting to do college tours. My kids are going. I'm taking them to my alma mater during spring break. So we'll be at Georgia State. We're going to Georgia Tech. We just went down to Georgia Southern. As I watch them connect, right, with their college experience, I saw their light bulbs come on, right? Like I'm about to be an adult. I'm about to go to college. I could see them focusing and understanding that this is a place where my life is going to be different than it has before. So that's my one personal why. Higher education transforms and elevates lives. And I still stand, as the young people say, 10 toes down on that.
I love it. Ladies and gentlemen, Dr. Darryl Holloman, thank you again so much for your wisdom and your time shared, brother.
You're welcome. Thank you so much, Dr. Brownlee.
What a conversation with Dr. Darryl Holloman. And if you take nothing else from today's episode, take these 3 truths with you. First, purpose must be your anchor. not your title, not your circumstances, not even your passion, because passion can fade, but purpose will carry you. And the leaders who last are the ones who know exactly why they do this work. Secondly, we cannot build sustainable institutions without sustaining our people. What Dr. Holloman named is real. Burnout is real. Disengagement is real. And if we are serious about the future of higher education, then we must be just as serious about the well-being, the development, and support of those who are doing this work every day. Because when people are cared for, institutions will thrive. And third, run your own race. In a world that constantly invites comparison, distraction, and urgency, you have to remain disciplined enough to move at the pace of your purpose. Because when you don't, you risk choosing the wrong opportunity in the wrong season and for the wrong reasons. And that's not leadership, that's reaction. And here's the perspective I want you to leave with for today. We've heard a lot about the new normal. But what if it isn't a new normal? What if these times are a defining moment for new possibilities? Possibilities to lead with greater clarity. Possibilities to build systems that actually serve people. Possibilities to recenter higher education around what matters most, and that is student transformation. Because at its best, this work still changes lives. It still opens doors, and it still creates pathways that didn't exist before. So wherever you are, whatever role you serve in, stay grounded in your purpose. Stay committed to the work, and never forget, good work stands the test of time. I want to thank our partner, the EDU Ledger, for continuing to amplify conversations that matter most across higher education. And if you're looking for more insights, leadership content, and conversations like this, I invite you to visit itsdrmordecai.com. Until next time, keep discovering your mission.